announcing the arrival of World Travelers Toastmasters Club number 079679339.
We have proven that we do not have to be in the same room to be united, to encourage each other, to succeed, and to celebrate together.
What do you get when you mix leadership, resilience, and a whole lot of heart? You get Tamami Nagayama. Since joining Toastmasters in 2020, she has led with purpose, served as area director, club coach, and now the club president of World Travelers. She's a full-time professional, a proud mother of four, and living proof that busy people get things done, but with grace. Her favorite quote from Marcus Aurelius says, "You have the power over your mind, not outside events." And Mami brings that strength and calmness into every room she enters. Please join me in welcoming the President of World Travelers Toastmasters Club, Madame President Tamami Nagayama.
Thank you, Ram. We are having Speechcraft meeting before our regular meeting today. So today's Speechcraft is led by our Speechcraft coordinator, Jasmine Smith. So I would like to hand over to Jasmine to start our Speechcraft session 3. Jasmine, over to you.
Thank you, Tamami. This time we'll have MD for the welcome, and MD will start for us this morning.
Okay.
Virtual lectern is yours, MD.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all fellow Toastmasters, speech crafters, and distinguished guests. Welcome to our third session of Speechcraft by World Travelers Toastmasters Club, Passport to Public Speaking and Speak Around the World. My name is Muhammad Zuhairi bin Abdul Rahim from Malaysia, and I've been known by many names: the bouncer, the bodyguard, the fixer. And today I will be your sergeant at arms, as we call in Toastmaster meeting. Sergeant at arms is the first person who speaks in the meeting. For the benefit of our guests, the Speechcraft program was designed to help new members, the guests, to get to know what is the Toastmasters all about. Okay, today I have a special guest that is going to deliver something that I'm not going to reveal now. But before I start, I would like to welcome our Speechcraft coordinator, Toastmaster Jasmine, for her opening address. Over to you, Toastmaster Jasmine.
Thank you, Toastmaster MD. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to week 3 of our Speechcraft program hosted by the World Travelers Toastmasters Club. It is indeed an honor to be sharing with us today. And you may ask the question, why speechcraft and why is it important? Well, speechcraft is vital in the for Toastmasters. It builds participants' confidence and communication skill in a safe environment while providing experienced Toastmasters with leadership and mentoring skill. So Speechcraft is for everyone. Speechcraft is not just for our new members or persons wanting to join Toastmasters, but even experienced Toastmasters can benefit from the Speechcraft program because it will develop their leadership and mentoring skills. And so today we are at week 3. Week 1, we had Distinguished Toastmaster Kadri Pethri dealing with mapping your message. Week 2, that's last week, we had Distinguished Toastmaster Cheryl Rouge, who dealt with how to inspire others, 7 secrets to connect with anyone. And today our Toastmaster of the session is Toastmaster Uniati. She will come and share the introduction to our speaker today, and she will also engage us in the question and answer session. Over to you, Toastmaster Uniati, who is one of our coordinators. Please make her welcome.
Thank you, Jasmine. Warm welcome, everyone. Today, I am your Toastmaster of the Day, aka MC. And I will introduce our speaker today. Our speaker is Dan Magill, and this is his introduction. Dan is a communication consultant working with organizations including Apple, Netflix, the BBC, Vodafone, and British Airways. Dan is currently working as a speechwriter with the UK government. He is an 8-time District 91 champion and has twice represented the UK and Europe in the semi-finals of the World Championship of Public Speaking. Dan is a 7-time winner of the Mod Story Slam and has won Mod Slam in London, Atlanta, Phoenix, and Hollywood. Dan has performed live stand-up comedy around the world, performing alongside some of world's best-known comedians and actors, including Bob Odenkirk of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul fame. Let's welcome Dan Magill. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Really pleased to be here. Can you hear me? Yeah, quick thumbs up if you assume you can hear me. Lovely, thank you. I'm sorry I can't have my camera on today, but we're going to talk about storytelling. And if we go back tens of thousands of years, we've always told stories as human beings, haven't we? I imagine our ancestors sitting around the campfire and telling stories of adventure, of romance, whatever it was, all kinds of stories. And what I often wonder is why did they sit around the campfire? Well, I think firstly it was nighttime. It was for warmth, and it was also for light, so that they could see each other's faces while they spoke. So obviously, I'm not going to give this session with my camera off, but I would love it if you could all have your camera on as well. I know most of you have, but anyone who hasn't and can possibly do it, when it comes to storytelling, there's nothing more important than that kind of face-to-face connection. So if you can have your camera on and you can get involved as we go along, then that would be brilliant. Thank you. And I'm sorry to anyone I scared thinking they were just going to have to listen to me for the next half hour. Although maybe some of you wish that I'd left it that way. Anyway, into storytelling. For me, it's the most important part of speaking. It's the most crucial part to get right and to work at. All the other things can kind of they'll come with time. They're peripherals, but being able to tell a story that connects, it doesn't matter whether you're a comedian, a politician, just in business, in your job, being able to tell an impactful story is more important than anything else. So I want to start off. I want to give you all just a little task, just in your own heads for a few seconds. I want you to think of a storyteller that you admire. So it could be a comedian, a politician. It's not very often a politician, but if it is, then great. YouTuber, podcaster, whoever it is, I want you to think of a speaker that you admire and a reason why you admire that speaker. And there are no wrong answers. And I don't want you to put it in the chat because we're together. We're doing storytelling. So let's ignore the chat. I just want two or three of you to put your hands up and share the speaker that you enjoy most and the very short reason, just 10 seconds or so, what it is that you enjoy about them. So people with their hands up now, are you up for sharing? Yeah, is that right? Jasmine? Let's go with Jasmine then.
Yes,
Thank you.
Louise Bennett from Jamaica. She is just hilarious and she knows how to hold her audience.
Fantastic. Great start. Thank you. And then who have we got next? MD, or is that your role?
Yes. I want to share. I love Dave Chappelle.
Uh-huh.
Dave Chappelle, because how I how he bring the story from the beginning and tied up to the conclusion, bring back the way that he tells the story. I love how he do that. I want to learn how he do that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Umar.
Yes, I love Craig Valentine, the 1999 amazing speaker and great energy. The usage of humor, how he integrates with the story, and he uncovers that humor throughout the story, and how he connects with the audience. Amazing, amazing energy.
Great. Can we get maybe one or two more? Anyone else got a name and a reason? Come on, we must have another one.
Last week,
Yeah, great.
I attended a Toastmasters meeting, and there was somebody who presented a storytelling workshop, and she brought the names of three authors who wrote storytelling books. One of them was Joe Laser, and his book was called Super Skill. And there was another, I can't remember his name, but the title was How to Tell a Story. And whilst she was talking to us, just like how you started, asking every one of us to come up with a story or a storyteller within that 30 seconds. And we learned quite a lot. I'm hoping I'll learn a lot from you today.
Lovely. Thank you. Fantastic. I can't promise you'll learn as much, but that sounds like it was a fantastic workshop. Okay. Great start. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who got involved, and hopefully the rest of you have got someone in mind and a reason in mind. I've asked this question. I give this workshop a lot, generally in person here around the UK, but I've done it a lot around the world as well online. And the names that people give me are always very different. You might get some that come up fairly often, like Barack Obama or Oprah Winfrey seems to come up a lot. There are no wrong answers, but someone last week in Canterbury said Hitler, so there's potentially wrong answers. But the names of people are very different. But when it comes to the reasons why they admire a particular speaker, they always fall into one of three or four categories, really, and they did then as well. It's that they're humorous, it's that they connect with you, it's that the message that they've got. This kind of thing, it's all about how a speaker, a storyteller connects. That's what really matters to us most. Now, at Toastmasters, often, and I think there's probably some people here who are fairly new to Toastmasters, but often at Toastmasters, we spend so much time focusing on those peripheral things, like, no one's ever said to me when I've asked that question about which speaker they admire, no one's ever said, oh, well, I love Barack Obama because of the way he uses the stage when he speaks, or because his eye contact is so good with the audience as he speaks, or he doesn't use notes. Barack, he doesn't use notes. I love that about him. People always say things that they connect with. But here at Toastmasters, I think sometimes we rightly focus on lots of peripherals because they give us that kind of rounded public speaking skill. But sometimes we can almost focus on them too much, and it becomes all about have we used the screen well if we're on Zoom, or the stage, and did we or didn't we use notes? How was our eye contact? They're all important, but I think they fade into the background compared to did we connect with our audience when we spoke? How strongly did we connect, and how memorable were we? And that for me is what stories and impactful, effective stories will do for our speaking. And then once we've got that right, we can work on all those peripherals, and they're fantastic as well. So I'm just going to go through a few things, whatever I can. This is normally a 2 hour, maybe even 3 hour workshop. So we've only got 40 minutes today, but I'm gonna squeeze in what I can. But I'd love to start just with the first area I'm going to cover with just one volunteer. And I just want you to spend 30 seconds, absolute maximum a minute, just telling me about, or telling us about your day today. So is there anyone who'd volunteer to do that? Okay, then can't see any volunteers. So Yanati, tell us about your day today.
Today I went for a contest, international speech and table topic. I have one speaker that I admire. He has very excellent delivery. He has a defined, clear message. However, likely he overrun the time. So the second best becomes first winner. So everything can be happening is unexpected, but enjoy the contest because everyone presented their best and give valuable message. That's my experience today. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Excellent. Great. Thank you for that. Sorry to put you on the spot. Okay, I want to tell you a quick story. So I want to talk about a chap called Ludvico Buonarroti, and we'll come back to what Yanati did in a minute. But a chap called Ludvico Buonarroti. So you may have heard of him. He was a man who lived in Italy in I think it was the 14th century. He was a very rich man, very well respected in society. And Ludvico had a young son. And he noticed that from a very, very early age, 3 or 4 years old, this young son of his loved to make things with his hands. He was always using his hands to create something. Now, Ludvico didn't like this at all. As I said, he was very rich, very well respected, and no son of his was ever going to indulge in manual labor. He wasn't going to have that. So every time Ludvico caught young Michelangelo trying to make something with his hands, he would beat him. And so Michelangelo grew up learning not to use his hands, certainly not when he was around his father anyway. Now let's fast forward 15 years or so, and Michelangelo, he is a well-known, he's a young man, but he's a well-known artist in his town, certainly. And one day there's a prince visiting that town. And the prince hears a rumor that every day for the last 3 months, Michelangelo, he's been going to his work studio and he's been sitting staring at this lump of marble all day long, nothing else, just staring at this lump of marble. And then at the end of the day, he packs up his things and he goes home. And the prince is intrigued by this. So the next day he goes along to Michelangelo's workshop and he sneaks in, and sure enough, he finds him sitting there staring at this lump of marble. And so he creeps up behind and he says, "What are you doing?" And Michelangelo turns and whispers, "Sto lavorando," which means I'm working. And 3 years later, that lump of marble is the statue of David. Now, how does this apply to our storytelling? Well, I think my question for you is when you're telling a story, whether it be at Toastmasters, whether it be a presentation at work, whether it be on a date where you're trying to impress the person you're maybe having dinner with, how long are you spending with your hands nowhere near that story? Let's use a Toastmaster speech as an example. How long are you spending just in thought, just looking at that story that you're going to tell from every possible angle before you put pen anywhere near paper or fingers anywhere near keyboard? How long are you spending just in thought? Because every story that we could possibly tell, or if it's a presentation at work, every presentation we could possibly give, the information is there. If it's a personal story, the information is there inside our head, but it's there inside of a big block of marble that is our lifetime experience in our head. And if it's a research project at work, it's on the internet, it's in books, it's all there, but it's there in the shape of a big block of marble. And our job as speakers, I think, and something that often we maybe miss out or we try and find shortcuts on, is to just spend that time looking at it from every angle, spending 3 months like Michelangelo if we need to. Some of the speeches that I've done at the contests, maybe by the time I've got to the final of them, I've been working on them for 3 years since I first kind of had them as an idea. And sometimes I'll be up against people who maybe they've only had their idea 3 weeks ago. And it makes a big difference. So the reason I asked Unati to talk about her day to day is because immediately what we do in that circumstance is we access the block of marble that is today in our head, and we pull something out as quickly as we can. And Unati did that, and she did that fantastically well. And that's what we did with table topics. That's what we do with table topics, and that's a great skill. Impromptu speaking is a fantastic skill. It's one I don't particularly have. But knowing that they are very different skills, impromptu speaking and actually crafting a story, I think is really important. And so often we have little time. I know that we don't have a lot of time, but we'll think, okay, we're giving a speech at Toastmasters next Saturday. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to start that on Thursday, and I'll write it on Thursday, and I'll try and remember it, or maybe I can have my notes on the screen. I'll deliver it on Saturday, and that'll be fine. And then I'll move on to my next one. And that time of actually just considering the story from every angle never really comes. So I think it's really important, whatever type of communication you're giving, to allow yourself that time. I'll often, if I've had an idea for a speech, I'll love to just go for a run and think about it. Maybe I'll run for an hour, and it'll be all I'll think about for that hour. And while I'm running, I can't be writing down. I can't be kind of committing anything. I'm just looking at the story in my mind. So always remember to give yourself that time. Okay, second area I want to look at, we'll go back to Michelangelo for a second. So he spent 3 months looking at that block of marble, doing nothing other than staring at it. I imagine that what he did next was kind of carve the outline of a human being from that piece of marble. And Michelangelo himself said that David was always there in that marble. He was always there. His job was to uncover him, to find him. And that job didn't really involve adding anything to that marble, did it? The job is in taking away to find what you're looking for inside. And so often when we tell our stories, and I do this and I see people do it all the time, we will just kind of get the block of marble and we'll just offload it onto an audience, and it all seems so important to us, and we can't leave that bit out because then, oh no, and I can't, and we just put so much into our stories sometimes that skill, that the genius of a sculptor is in what they take away. And I think the genius of a powerful storyteller is in what they take away. So often it's tempting with a speech, let's say a speech you'll give at Toastmasters, to kind of say, okay, I'm starting on no words. I've got to get to 800 words, and let me just write everything I can think of. Oh, great, I'm on 800 words. There we go. I've finished now. And for me, that's never going to be the best way to put an effective speech together. You want to write 5,000 words and then have the challenge of getting it down to 800 words, that's when you'll come up with something really, really powerful for me. And I want to give you a quick example of that. So someone I was working with at Toastmasters last year, she just joined, and just a young woman. She was ready to give her icebreaker, and I was her mentor. And she said, I want to write the introduction to my speech, and then I want you to have a quick check of it, if that's okay, just so I know I'm on the right lines before I carry on with the rest. So I said, yeah, that's fine. So she went away and she wrote her introduction. And the next day she sent me this, and I'm just going to read it to you now. So this is an icebreaker speech. Hi, everyone. I'm ethnically Indian. My nationality is British, but I was born and raised in Spain. One of my early memories of realizing I was different was when I was around the age of 8. My mum had double parked and left me sitting in the back seat as she went off to run some errands. Something she did quite often, something I found terribly boring. So on this particular day, I saw a group of kids similar to my age playing near the car. I, of course, got out of the car and I went to see if I could play with them. I noticed they were looking at me slightly perplexed. Eventually, one girl came up to me. She was about the same age as me. She prodded at my brown skin and asked, "What are you?" So, that was her introduction. Firstly, great. Icebreaker speech. Loved it. I was very interested in where it would go after that. But I do like to challenge. And I said, okay, that's about 150 words long. Now, for an introduction, for a 4 to 6 minute speech, it feels a little on the long side. So what if you had to turn that, I think it's actually 140 words. I said, what if you had to turn those 140 words into just 40 words? What would you do? And so she went away that night and she thought about it, and she came back to me the next day with this. She failed in the task because it's 46 words that she sent me, but still, this is what she came back with. What are you? What are you? What are you? I'm 8 years old. I'm playing in the park with some newly found friends, when one of them, a girl around my age, starts prodding at my brown skin. What are you? What are you? What are you? And that was the opening of the speech that she actually gave a few days later at the Toastmasters Club. And the audience were just absolutely gripped by that from the first moment. And I think what had happened in her mind, well, I know because we discussed it, was she realized that all the information about parking, her mum parking the car, and something that happened quite often, and she found it terribly boring. I think she realized that if she found it terribly boring, that maybe the audience would find that terribly boring. And actually, it was everything that happened once she got out of the car that was the impactful bit. And so she realized I can strip all that away now. And I think she also asked herself, why does she remember everything that happened in the car? Because as she said in the original opening, it was something that happened quite often, that her mum would park and leave her in the car and she'd be bored. So why does she remember that exact day? And the reason she remembers that exact day is because of what happened when she got out of the car. And that means the reason an audience will remember this exact opening to the speech is because of what happened when she got out of the car. And so does she even need to tell us much about the car? No, not really. It can be so much more impactful. Suddenly you've got 40 words where you had 140, and you can take your time and you can pause. And the speech title was "What Are You?" And the story of the speech was how that "What are you?" that way someone had demanded to know who she was, why she was different, why she looked like that, how that had echoed through her life. And so suddenly just being able to take the time for her to literally echo it at the start and the end of that opening part of the speech, it just made it so much powerful, and it really set the audience in the frame of mind of where this speech would go. So I think when it comes to taking away, I think there are two things we can do and we should do. Firstly, there will be events, there will be things we've got in there that really don't matter, that are just taken away from the impact, like in this case, what was going on in the car. And often there'll be words as well. We can say things, we can use 100 words where 10 words will do. I don't know if I assume most of you probably use LinkedIn, and I can't go on there these days because the posts I see are just getting longer and longer and longer and longer, and they're like 3,000 words long. And I don't know who's reading them because we're all too busy writing our own 3,000 word posts. And I just think, wouldn't it be so much more powerful if it was just a line, maybe 2 lines that really got to the heart of what you wanted to say here with maybe a nice image? But no, we have to trawl through all these paragraphs and paragraphs. And I think the answer is well, the fact is nobody really does trawl through them. You might get your like, but no one's really read through every word you've ever said ever. So think about taking events away and taking words away. I want to play a quick game with that. I need 4 volunteers. It's a very, very easy game. Who's up for it? Hands up if you'll. Okay, so we got Susanna. Who else we got? Come on, come on, come on. Okay, so Ram, you'll have to come in. Thank you. And then Yusuf and Soira. Soira, is that right? Is that how
Surya.
Soria,
Surya.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, so and yeah, hopefully Ram as well did agree to that.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to give each of you a sentence, and you can take a few seconds to think about it. But I just want you to feel free to take out any events that you don't think are important in that sentence, or any words, and see if you can make the sentence a bit shorter or maybe a bit more powerful. So I know I said it was easy. It's a little bit trickier than I said, but I needed some volunteers. Anyway, let's start with Susanna. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to tell you a story about a woman who parked her red car on the street and slowly walked into a nearby haunted house. Let me know if you want one more reading of it.
I think the beginning, I want to tell you a story about a woman is not necessary.
Uh-huh. So what would you go with then? Would you just take that out and
there's other parts too. I might reframe it. No, I'm only hearing it one time, but I might reframe it. I saw a woman who parked her car outside of a haunted house, and I watched her walk in.
Lovely. Thank you. Round of applause, Susanna. Okay, yeah. I mean, straight away, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with the I'd like to tell you a story. We don't really need that. I think maybe in a session like this, where there are parts where I'm maybe talking about, some educational things, and then I might go into speaking to you, and then I might say, okay, now I'd like to tell you a story. That's fine. If you're there to tell a story, if you're introduced as someone who's going to come and tell us a story, and you open with "I'd like to tell you a story," there's just no need. You can find something far more impactful than that. We know you're going to tell us a story. Just tell us it. And then, then it becomes a bit more kind of, different people might have different opinions and might do different things with it, as Susanna did. But I'd like to tell you a story about a woman who parked her red car on the street. I think, like with the last example, for me, I'd probably just take away anything about the car unless I felt it was necessary to come back later. I certainly don't care about the color of the car. Although I did this session with a group of international students not so long ago, and there was a French girl who I gave this example to. And she left red car in, and I said, "Oh, I wouldn't have red." And she kind of looked, and I could see she was thinking. And I said, "Oh, you okay?" And she said, "Well, actually, I left red there very deliberately because red is the color of danger, and I wanted to create that feeling of danger in the audience. So that's why I left red." And she got quite annoyed with me for suggesting that it should be taken out, and that is absolutely fine. If you've got a reason why you want something in there, and the most important thing is that you've thought about why you want that in there, then brilliant, fantastic. And it may or may not work with an audience. And then the second time you do it, you might say, that didn't seem to work. It didn't create any tension, me saying red, so I'm going to take it out. But having that thought process about everything we say be so important. For me, with that one, I would just say she stepped into the haunted house, like an opening to a story. You come on stage, step up to the microphone. She stepped into the haunted house. Great. We know who. We know who. We know a bit about who anyway. We know where, and we've got some action. Fantastic. Let's get into it. So, okay, next. Who was next? Let's say Ram. Okay, Ram. We really think it might be about the right time for you to take some action. Why not? What have you got to lose?
Okay, next me, yeah. Okay, wait.
Okay, yeah, whoever's on mic is fine. Yeah, go on.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I have to enrich your sentence to be a story, or
No, you're going to try and say it in a much simpler, shorter way. So can you make that sentence more impactful? So we
oh yes,
really
okay,
think it might be about the right time for you to take some action. Why not? What have you got to lose?
yeah. Um, Maybe it's time for me to make a decision about my future, because the one who can take change about my future is myself, not others.
Okay, thank you. You get a round of applause, even though I think it was slightly longer than the original. But well done. It started well, I think, with the stuff about making a decision. So we really think it might be about the right time for you to take some action. Why not? What have you got to lose? Now imagine if Nike had written all that on the side of their trainers or their posters or whatever. Instead, Nike went with just do it. Again, it's just getting rid of all those words and really finding the essence of what you want to say. So much more powerful. Okay, next one. Let's go with Yusuf then, yeah?
Okay.
So you're just looking to make this more powerful if you can.
Yes. Okay.
There's one particular thing I think about all the time. Something I would absolutely love to see happen out there in the world. I'll just read it again. There's one particular thing I think about all the time. Something I would absolutely love to see happen out there in the world.
The world is full of poor people. And I would like to touch each of us to do something to help those people.
Thank you. That was definitely more powerful. Again, it may have been about the same length, but it was more powerful for sure. So imagine somebody comes on a stage and you're about to listen to them speak and they say, there's one particular thing I think about all the time, something I would absolutely love to see happen out there in the world. Fine. Yeah, nice. Let's see where this is going. Then imagine someone else follows them out onto the stage and just says, I have a dream. I think I know which one would be more impactful for me, and maybe which one in history in the past has been more impactful. But finding how you can really just shorten those things that you say to really go for that impact. And our last one, Ram, then, if that's okay. Sometimes we say things in many more words than we really need to. Often the same thing can be said in far fewer words, sometimes even more powerfully.
Thank you, Dan. Less is more.
And well, I won't show you, but that's exactly what I've got written down. So, well, have you been to my workshop before? Well done. No, I know you haven't. I know. Well done. Yeah, less is more. And that's the point of this whole section, really. Less really is more. And put as much onto the page as you can and then take away. The skill is in the taking away. And definitely do that with your LinkedIn posts, please. Okay, so I think we've got is it about 10 minutes left? Is that right? Or is it less than that, Jasmine? What have we got?
About 10 minutes, yes.
Oh, great. Okay. So moving on to I normally do 6 areas, so we're going to get through 3, but I just want to talk a little bit about the heart of any story that you tell. I don't know if has anyone here ever been to Florence in Italy and seen the statue of David? No. Okay, I haven't myself, but I've seen pictures, obviously, and the eyes of David, the pupils are heart-shaped, and nobody really knows why. Michelangelo never said why, and it wasn't something that was commonly done. But if you look at pictures, the eyes are heart shaped. And I think my question is, or really my advice is, always know the heart of the story that you're going to tell. And whether that's a story about a woman in a red car or whatever it is, know what the heart of your story is and shape everything around that heart. It could just be a LinkedIn post, and this is where it will really help. It could be an email, but know what the heart of it is. And it doesn't mean like some romantic idea, but just the essence of what you want to do. And so if it's a LinkedIn post, okay, I want to, the essence of what I want to do is show that I talk about a contest I won last week. Whatever it is, know what that heart is and shape everything around that. I talk about, if in my workshops here, about if you were a manager or a coach of a soccer team, a football team, and let's say they were a very, very bad team and they hadn't won a game for 3 years now, and somehow you've stayed in your job, you haven't been fired, and it's the beginning of a new season and you've just signed the world's best football player. Let's say it's Messi. You've just signed Messi. And it's the first day of the new season. You've got all your players sitting around. You're ready for the first match, and you've got to give your team talk. Now, what are you going to say to those players? Messi's there. You're probably going to change last year's tactics, which were just when you get the ball, just kick it out of the stadium, and hopefully it takes them a long time to find the ball. And who knows, we might draw. You're probably going to change those tactics. You're probably going to say, when you get the ball, give it to Messi. Any of you get the ball, just give it to Messi. Just please, we haven't won for 3 years. Just give the ball to Messi. Because the moment that Messi signs for that team, he becomes the heart of that team and everything will be shaped around him. And I think it's the same with our stories. And if we go back to the example of the lady who gave me the introduction, all about the sitting in the back of the car and her mum double parking and all that we spoke about a few minutes ago. What I absolutely loved more than anything about what she did with that second version was, if you remember, I asked her, she gave me 140 words, and I asked her to come back with 40 words. And she failed. She gave me 46. But the top 3 lines of that opening were, what are you, what are you, what are you? And the last 3 lines were, what are you, what are you, what are you? And she knew she could just take 1 line off the top and 1 line off the bottom. She would lose 6 words. She would have 40 words and she would have met my brief perfectly. So easy to do. But she didn't do that. And that's what I love most about this. And she didn't do that because who cares about silly rules really when it comes to it? My rule, 40 words. Who cares? Who cares whether you move around the stage well, whether you have great eye contact, whether you use notes or don't use notes, whatever it is? Who really cares compared to the impact? Now, for her, the heart of her story was that moment when she was asked, what are you? And that echoed through her life. So she didn't care about any rules that I'd given her. She wanted to shape her whole story around that. She knew what the heart of her story was, and she shaped everything around it. So they're really the main 3 things that I wanted to cover today. That taking that time with your stories, looking at them from every angle. Every personal story you could tell could be told in a million ways. We asked Junati what to tell us about her day to day, and she told us about a small section at a contest. She could have told us about waking up this morning or about what she'd had for breakfast. There are a million ways to prize a story out of 1 block of marble. Take your time to find the exact story that you want to tell. Take things away. Write as much as you can and then take away as much as you can. I think we've seen the power of taking events away in terms of the car in the story, and taking words away in terms of getting down to things like just do it and I have a dream. Take away what you can. And finally, the one we've just mentioned, which is know the heart of your story and shape everything around. And that will help you in the thought process. It will help you in the taking away part. It will help you a lot in that part if you know the heart of your story. And so just a very last thing in the last couple of minutes, I just want to finish with a quick story about rules. So a few years ago, I got to the world semi-finals of public speaking, whatever it's called. And Toastmasters flew me out to Nashville, economy class, no expense spared with Toastmasters. And the night before my competition, I was feeling a bit nervous, and I was scrolling through Facebook, and I noticed that the previous year's world champion Mike Carr was there in the hotel. He was there for the conference, and I didn't know him. I'd never spoken to him. But I just thought, I'm going to send him a message. I'm going to ask if he minds having a quick listen to my speech that I'm going to give in the competition tomorrow. And so I did that, and I sent a message, and within 2 minutes, Mike had replied. Mike is a world champion for far more than giving a 7-minute speech on a stage. He's a world champion of speaking in every way possible. He was at my room. So 5 minutes later, there's a knock on my door. And it's only at that point that I realize I've basically just invited a strange man up to my hotel room. And now I'm going to invite him in and ask him to lie on the bed while I perform for him. But anyway, I did that. And it was quite an emotional speech. And Mike is a very emotional man. And there was a point about halfway through the speech where we were both in tears. And in the end, it just got a bit too awkward. So we got dressed and we went back down to reception and we chatted there. And Mike gave me so much good advice, but one thing he said to me, he said, when you go out on stage tomorrow, just have a hand in your pocket. Just put a hand in your pocket. And I said, but Mike, I've been a Toastmaster now for 5 years, and all I ever get told is don't put your hand in your pocket. You can't use your hand to make all of these silly gestures then. And that's all I'm told. And I said, people are going to be watching me back home on the live feed. If they see me walk on stage with my hand in my pocket, I won't be allowed back in the country. And he said, well, it's up to you, but I think the judges will like that. I think they'll be impressed by the confidence, and it's something a bit different. And it's your decision, but I think it might work well. Anyway, I can't decide what to do. I'm in a bit of a mess. The next day, I'm standing waiting to go on stage. I'm introduced. I walk on. I still haven't decided, and my hand's kind of here. And at the last second, it basically just turned into that. That was how I opened my speech. And Mike was on the front row, grinning throughout, and I was imagining all my people back home. If I'd put my hand in my pocket, it would have been the end. And I didn't win. And I'm not sure whether I put my hand in my pocket or not would have made any difference to that result. But what I did realize was I was worried about taking advice from a world champion because of all these rules I'd learned at Toastmasters. So many rules. And I think the last message I want to leave you with is when it comes to storytelling and things we learn at Toastmasters, they are tools in a toolbox. They are not rules in a rule book. That nobody has ever set any rules for public speaking. There is not a public speaking Bible. I'm sure you could probably go on Amazon and find the public speaking Bible. It's not really one. There are no rules. So find your own way, tell your own stories, and yeah, good luck with it. Thank you. Really, really good to be here.
Thank you, Dan, for enriching and engaging workshop today. Even though it's a short time compared to other workshops you conduct, but you still give us a lot of things to learn from. So everyone, please send your reaction, your emoji, your heart or thumbs up, everything as appreciation to Dan. And we have 3 minutes, only 3 minutes, not 30 minutes, just 3 minutes for question and answer. So anyone have question, please raise your hand. Okay, who get the question? Is it Surya first?
Yes.
Susanna
Okay,
has a
Surya.
hand up. Oh, sorry, you go first. Sorry.
Okay. Me first, yeah. Okay, Dan, thank you for the insight uh, tonight. I want to ask a question. I came to a conclusion that our best story is uh, the best story is our story. Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah. Because uh, the marble is there, the story is there in ourselves. But how to make it connect with people? Because sometimes people just don't care about us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question, and it is one if we had the full time for the full workshop, but that is an area I cover, which is all about connection and kind of what specifically we can do to connect. I think some of the things we did cover do definitely help with that. I think sometimes when we come out with our own story and because it's kind of a very personal thing and we just want to say everything, we want to tell the full story. So the example I gave, the lady wanted to talk all about what happened in the car because that was her memory and she just wanted to tell us that story from her memory. But actually, as an audience, that's not the interesting bit. So finding the bit that really will connect with an audience, I think is important. And one way that I do that is I think when an audience or a person in an audience sees themselves in what you're saying, then they will connect. We connect when we see ourselves in a story. And it's why I know we've got a few stand-up comedians in the room, but it's why one of the easiest forms of stand-up comedy is observational comedy, because often the comedian they just need to hold up a mirror to the audience and they'll say, look, that's you. There you are. And we laugh so much. And the comedian's not really doing anything other than holding a mirror up. And so being able to hold that mirror up and reflect the audience when we speak, I think is really important. Now, with the example with the lady in the car, we may have all had times when we've been in a car bored, so she may reflect that, but they're not really times that have made us feel anything. The very fact that they're boring times, we might see ourselves, but we don't really feel the connection. But when she gets to the bit about basically being bullied by children and challenged by these children and made to feel really small by these other children, well, I think we haven't all been stood on that exact playground she was on, and we haven't all been attacked by those specific young children, but we've all stood in our own version of that playground and we've all been attacked by somebody. And so when you can take your story and find that bit where you'll connect with feeling, then for me, I think that's how you'll connect with the story. It's never as easy as just telling your story as it is in your head, because then it is too specific to you. It's finding the actual moments in there that were very powerful for you and will also be very powerful for an audience. Sorry, that's probably all 3 minutes, is it?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My apologies, Susanna. We have no time for another question. So you may reach Dan with different channel. He may share. Yeah, Dan can share how everyone can reach to him. Thank you. I would like to invite Tamami, who will lead us into group photo and also certificate presentation. Tamami, stage is yours.
Thank you. I would like to first present a certificate of appreciation to Danielle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle, for your beautiful presentation. Passport to Public Speaking Program by the World Travelers Club. Thank you very much. And
Thank you. Pleasure.
Everyone, please open up your camera and let's take a group photo. Okay. Ready? First page. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Next page. Once again. Ready? Cheese. All right, thank you. And back to you, Jasmine.
Thank you, Tamami. Another round of applause for our speaker, Dan Magill. Wow. According to William Arthur Ward, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Likewise, silent gratitude isn't much to anyone. Today, I deem it a great honor and privilege to just propose this vote of thanks on this, what I consider memorable occasion. Thank you so much, Dan, for sharing with us. I will ensure that I get to the heart of what I'm saying, and I will take all the events and the words away, and I will consider my takeaway. I appreciate all that were present today at the meeting. I want to say, yes, big thank you to our audience. Thanks for sharing with us, for staying with us, and we really appreciate you. There is this quote by Dalai Lama that I really like. It says, "The roots of all goodness lie in the soil of appreciation for goodness." Once again, I thank you all for your attention and participation. We really, another round of applause for Dan. Thank you so much. Our meeting at World Travelers will begin in 4 minutes. And so I want to just say thanks again and invite all our speech crafters, all our guests to stay on with us and enjoy the flight of the World Travelers Toastmasters Club. And next week, all being well, we look forward to week number 4 as we continue our speechcraft, which will be a little longer than 1 hour, because when you come, you will get an opportunity at the end of the session to see our speechcrafters at work. You might be getting some icebreakers, some thoughts, so you'll hear the speechcrafters next week, which will go a little over the hour. So it is now 9:57, and at this time, a big thank you for coming to Speechcraft number 3, and we welcome you to come back next week. Now I hand over, and we close our Speechcraft session, and we hand over to, is it Ram or Tamami?
Thank you, Jasmine.
And as we hand over, another big round of applause